Hey everyone, Zero Fossil Fuel. Today is Saturday, May 28th, 2011, and this is an update from Zero's Freedom Garden. Last year, all the grunt work was done. I had to build the raised garden bed, bring in all the soil, till it real well, bring in all kinds of fertilizer, try to condition the soil. Garden did so-so last year. This year, doing things a little bit differently. It was kind of nice being able to come in though this year and just throw in a bunch of peat moss and work the peat moss into the soil and put some fertilizer in and get ready to do some planting. In that regard, I just want to go over a couple of things to till the soil. I did not rent a tiller. I decided to do it by hand because it is such a small plot. But I started going at it with my pitchfork and realized that this is not going very well. It's going to take me a very long time and I'm going to be very sore when I'm done. I figured what I needed was a little leverage on the handle, so I just took a metal bar and tie wrapped it to the handle so that I had a little leverage to twist the pitchfork with. And after I did that, it took me about 20 minutes to finish tilling the garden. Really worked out very well. After I tilled the garden, I spread some lime and some fertilizer across the top with a Scott's hand spreader, and that holds about a gallon each time you fill it up, so it's perfect for a small plot this size. And to work it into the top surface of the soil, I picked up at Home Depot a little garden tiller. It's a knockoff of the Garden Weasel brand. It's called the Hound Dog, excuse me. And it was about $25 at Home Depot, $29, something like that. And that's really, besides the soaker hose that I put on top of the garden, that's about my only expense this year. So I'm very pleased with that. In that regard, I want to talk a little bit about the soaker hose. This year, I'm not doing the overhead sprinkler mechanism, which worked okay last year. But I think one of the problems that I had with the mold that formed on many of my squash plants is because I was watering from overhead. So this year I've opted to lay out a soaker hose up and down the rows. There's 100 feet of soaker hose in the garden, and it just snakes back and forth across my rows, and it repeats twice across the rows where my squash are planted because they're heavier feeders than the rest of the garden. This year I've got 3 varieties of squash again, but not nearly as much. Last year I planted 3 full rows of squash and they took over the whole garden, and that was not good. So this year my girls still wanted 3 varieties of squash, but I planted half a row of each. So I have 2 varieties in the first row. I have a 3rd variety in front of the tomato plants, and I'm already starting to get some of those to germinate, which is good, and I'm happy to see them germinating. In the back I have excuse me, I have 3 varieties of tomato, 2 early girls, beefsteak, and grape tomatoes. In front of the 2nd row of tomatoes, I have a row of sweet banana peppers, because the girls and I both like banana peppers. Next row back, I have a row of spinach. Now those spinach are from started plants that were purchased at a local nursery in Canton, Connecticut called the Wild Carrot. And if you live in the Farmington Valley area, this is a place that I highly recommend. They specialize in organically grown produce, and the quality of their product is exceptional. So a little plug for my local nursery, the Wild Carrot. They're a member of or a division of Bristol Farms Incorporated. Next row back from the spinach, actually 2 rows back from the spinach, is a vegetable called kale. Before this year, I'd never even heard of kale until my oldest daughter turned me on to it, who is vegetarian, and figured, okay, we'll give it a try. I'm willing to try anything new. In that same row, I have germinating some head lettuce. Now those head lettuce were planted about 3 weeks ago, and they're starting to sprout very nicely. So in order to have a constant supply of lettuce coming out of the garden, the next 2 rows I'm going to plant a 2nd row this week, and then in 3 weeks I'll plant a 3rd row in the front closest to the tomatoes. Next row back I have 2 plants of sweet bell peppers. and 2 variety of eggplant, and in the very back I have my Kentucky pole beans, and they do very well every year in this soil, and I'm looking forward to another good crop again this year. If you remember last year, I had a real tough time growing cucumbers, and could not get them to germinate at all. Finally gave up on it altogether. This year I decided to try something a little different. I bought 3 started cucumber plants from the wild carrot, and I also planted seeds alongside of the started plants, figuring, well, if one doesn't work, the other might work. But I didn't give a lot of hope to the seeds germinating for the cucumbers. With the 2 weeks of torrential rains that we've had here in Connecticut, I think in 1 week we received over 6-7 inches of rain. Okay, water, not snow, water. Drowned my 3 nursery plants, killed them. And I figured, okay, that's it. I'm done with cucumbers this year. And much to my surprise, what do I have? I have a cucumber seed germinating, so I'm going to nurse that along real carefully, and hopefully I'll have cucumbers this year. Woohoo! Lastly, I've got marigolds lining the all around the perimeter of the garden. Hopefully the marigolds will keep the vine borers away from my squash plants this year. That's what they say. They say it will happen, so we'll see how that goes. I remain hopeful. So that's it for now. Zero fossil fuel. I need to get back to work on the Mueller motor. I appreciate you watching the series. Hope you enjoy the Freedom Garden. With the soaker hose, it's going to be hopefully a lot more maintenance free this year than it was last year. Everyone take care. Peace.